God, it's been 10 years since he left, and he literally for an entire decade has not worked. And I arranged virtually all of his gigs with people that would pay him to just do anti-Scientology stuff. First, there was this guy down in Clearwater. He lasted about, I don't know, only a few weeks, and the guy just couldn't tolerate Rinder being around, so he got fired. Then it was this guy, Omblad, who was an alcoholic who just would go into these alcohol-fueled rants and rages about bringing David Miscavige to his knees and destroying Miscavige, and he just had this complete obsession, and Rinder would just pump that up and tell him how possible all this stuff was and how they could attack the trademarks and rip off the copyrights and all this other kind of stuff. And, my conversations with the guy were, kind of talking him off the ledge about how this kind of a neat pipe dream, but the practicalities are, ain't gonna happen. You're in no legal position to do it. And he could, he didn't like that, but he continued to employ, quote unquote, Rinder for another 2 years to have him stroke him with those fantasies, had him living in his rent-free in a home and the whole thing. Then there was this other guy, Michael Bennett, who came along, who called himself a venture capitalist from Chicago. He came all the way to South Texas to see me, and was, he. First of all, he just walked up to me in a coffee shop in San Antonio. Rinder was there, and he acting like this little groupie about, I really admire you and this, that, and the other thing. He was like trying to sleaze in on me, and I said, God, this is really creepy. And Mike, of course, being Mickey the dunce, Mickey the, ingratiator, said, oh yeah, no, I agree, Marty, right? Then that Bennett guy, 2 months later, comes all the way down to South Texas to my home in Corpus Christi, and he's running the same thing on wanting to, be my benefactor or be my partner or some kind of thing. And I'm like, I couldn't get out of my house fast enough. He was that creepy. Well, I didn't actually arrange that gig. I guess I did indirectly by rejecting the guy, because 3 months later, or several months later, all of a sudden Rinder tells me he's working for this Michael Bennett guy. And long and the short of that, I said, what are you doing? He says, I'm doing public relations. I said, okay. What have you actually done? He said, well, the only thing I did is, he had this woman who was sort of eccentric, who had tons of money. She got a huge divorce settlement, and she had nothing better to do. So she created a gelato company. Doesn't know the first thing about it, but so I was doing PR. Like, what? He said, well, basically, I did TRs, training routines, Scientology training routines, to teach her how to feel comfortable communicating. And that's all he did. And then there's Karen de la Carriere, who, I've described before, and she wants to be the center of the universe, and I don't know how she makes her money, but she makes a lot of it, and she passes it out. But she wants lots of face time and lots of influence, and I finally told her, I just don't even send me any money, because she becomes so meddling. I said, I'm not going to be influenced by your, I told you that from the beginning, and you just won't learn. I'm not going to do it. Well, of course, Mike doesn't have those rules. He'll do or say whatever anybody wants him to, as long as there's grease, right? And so she's been greasing him the whole time, and she famously makes it known to others that he cannot turn on her or say anything negative about her, pursuant to ASC cult rules, because she's his matron. And so, the aftermath, that's the pre-math, okay? The aftermath is him playing with his latest benefactor, Leah Remini, because I know for a fact she told me I could write my own ticket to take that place, and I rejected the gig, just like I did with the other ones who want me to tell me what I'm going to say and do.